In this video, we're going to take a look at cargo missions. Now, cargo missions are a relatively wide scope as far as capabilities goes. We can use cargo missions for the purposes of dropping off paratroopers. We can have them use amphibious operations. There's really a significant number of different options we can use with them. Generally, whenever you're doing any sort of cargo operation, which involves taking units off of something and then placing it onto the ground, we're going to require some kind of area defined. To define an area, we simply go ahead and control, right-click, hit Add Define Area, or if you prefer, you can use Control Insert and go ahead and define the area manually. Whenever you're doing any sort of cargo mission that's going to involve defining an area that you're going to be dropping, for example, troops off in an amphibious situation, you want to keep that area as small as possible to help with path finding. So for example, if I created a little area here, we'll go ahead and make this one no bigger than, let's say, about 300 by 300 meters. Again, we don't have to be perfectly precise here. We're just looking for sort of a general size. As again, we'll simplify things a little bit later on for us. So to create a cargo mission, we're simply going to go up to Missions and Ref Points. Go ahead and click on Add New Mission. We're going to go ahead and call this one Cargo. We'll go ahead and say cargo. Again, there's different options here. In this case, we're going to select cargo and we're going to press the OK button. As usual, whenever you're doing any sort of cargo mission, and you have the ability to go ahead and make it so the mission does not activate until a specific time. This would be like our H hour if you want to think about it another way. We can also deactivate it, and that was covered in a previous mission tutorial. So now whenever we're working with cargo, you want to go ahead and make sure you select the mother unit for that cargo. This particular mother unit could be an airport. This particular unit could also be an LHD like we have in this example. So I'm actually going to go find that LHD real quickly. I'm going to go ahead and add it to the mission. Now you'll notice now that I've clicked on it that nothing appears to have happened here because the unit itself is not actually the one that is going to be responsible for delivering the cargo. Instead, it's going to be the units from the particular platform that's going to be delivering the actual cargo. So if I actually click on this, I notice that I have a group of 8 Sea Kings, and I also have 5 LCACs at my disposal. Those are the ones that are going to have to do the delivery here. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that, select my LCACs, load them over here, and I'm also going to go ahead and select my Sea Kings and load them over here as well. Now you'll notice down here at the bottom, I have the ability to see my mothership that I've been working from, as well as the cargo items that are available, as well as my aircraft throttle and altitude, the ship's throttle, and everything along those lines. Keep in mind, with any sort of mission that you're operating, you need to define the area which you're going to be moving the cargo into. In this case, we're moving all the cargo directly into this little spot right here, a little landing zone, if you want to think about it another way. Now what we're going to do is we're simply going to select the items we like to unload. We're simply going to press the arrows depending on how many. For example, if I wanted to launch 5 of my infantry sections, I can go ahead and press that. If I want to send all of them, I can simply press that button there. Now, if I go to my M1 Abrams, I can go ahead and click that button and order all of them to be launched as well. Now, the way this works now is the computer will automatically look at all the available platforms and load them up in an optimum way. Now, once the mission is actually underway, what it will actually do is launch all the aircraft, load them up with different items, send them to the zone, return them, and then continue back and forth until the cargo is completely unloaded. Fast forward about 45 minutes, and you'll notice that these little aircraft, I should say these LCACs, have been launched from the actual LHD and are now proceeding into the cargo zone. In this particular case, the algorithm found the most optimum way to get the most number of units directly onto the beach was to forego the helicopters and opt for the LCACs instead. In this case, they're carrying a significant amount of cargo. Each one's got themselves 1 tank, as well as 6 of the infantry sections. Back on board our LHD, none of the helicopters were used for this purpose, and there is still some cargo left on the LHD in the form of the rest of the Abrams that could not be carried at this time. So now what's going to happen is these particular units are going to proceed to that zone. I'll go ahead and speed up time a little bit here. Once they reach into that zone, again, keep that zone as small as possible. They will unload their cargo, and they will zip back to the LHD as fast as they can to pick up another pack of cargo. In this case, I'm actually going to order this craft to slow all the way down in order to facilitate this process. You'll notice now that we've gone ahead and unloaded all these different units, and they come together as little composite groups. We have landed detachment here, which is made up of a group of the different Abrams. In this case, we have 1 of the tanks. And we also have our infantry squatted together as 1 large group as well. I'll go ahead and move them across so that they're a little bit more obvious to see. You can see this is made up of all 50 of our infantry sections that we have at our disposal. This covers cargo missions. One thing you always want to watch out for is to make sure that when you are selecting it, you only want to select the items that you intend to use. In this case, if we wanted to reserve an LCAC for something else, we could go ahead and pull it off of that mission so we'd always have it as a reserve.